This episode of the Wrong Advice podcast is powered by Harlow, the only woman-owned lighting brand for photographers, videographers, filmmakers, and content creators. Designed for those who push creative boundaries, Harlow lights are compact, powerful, and built to inspire. Harlow creates tools that stand the test of time, crafted for those who see light as an art form. Harlow believes that your light can be bold, powerful, and beautiful, and that it deserves to be seen. Visit Harlow online at www.harlow.com or follow them on Instagram at Harlow Creators. Welcome back to the Wrong Advice podcast. I'm your host, John Picciuto. I'm very excited to have the one and only Ms. Ludivine Combe on the podcast with us today. Lud, darling, how are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Can you give a quick introduction to the listeners to who you are?
So I'm going to say my name properly once for the record. So I'm
Ludivine.
Ludivine. Do it again, John.
I like the Texas twang to it.
I moved from London, actually, 2 years ago. So I've been in the States for 2 years. I would definitely now describe myself as a photographer.
Great.
Though this is not my paid occupation. And I think as a general introduction, I'd say I'm a jack of all trades in photography.
Love that. When did you start taking pictures?
I don't really recall when. I feel like I always had a camera when I was a kid. I grew up in the 90s. That was the era of disposable cameras. Mm-hmm. So I always had some when we went on holiday.
Yeah.
And I realized that very recently when someone else actually asked me the same question. So I'm going to say like forever.
Well, that's not fair. Well, that's cool. So,
Life's not fair, John.
Do you have a recollection of like your first like real camera, or like as I say when I bought my first Leica?
So my first real camera, quote on that, was not a Leica camera. It was an APS-C camera.
Oh.
I don't remember the brand. I know it was like distastefully purple.
Really?
And it was gifted to me when I was like 10.
Oh wow. Wow, I didn't even realize they had APS-C cameras that long ago. Like, that's wow. I don't remember shooting on digital much as a kid.
Sorry, APS-C film. Do you remember that weird format of film?
Oh, no.
That you would put in the camera, and then you would have these marks at the bottom. So it was, the format of the film was on the, I don't remember the ratio, but on the 135. And basically you would put, it was a canister, you'd put in there. And then there was, I don't remember, there was 4 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they had different symbols attached to them. So there was a square, there was, I don't remember, a circle. And basically, depending on which state of using the film you were, it would kind of use a different marker. And it was weird. Didn't really work out in the photography industry for all the reasons above.
Yeah, I've literally never heard of it. That's crazy. That's so interesting. I always say I too had a million disposable cameras as a kid, but I didn't learn or like really remember it until my parents sold their house shortly after COVID. And I found like all of these like 3x5, prints that you would get when you would turn your camera in. And I was like, wait, why did nobody tell me that I love photography? Like I came to it after I lost my job during the pandemic, and my mom and dad were like laughing at me. They're like, yeah, every week you would have us buying a stupid disposable and like going to Broadway Photo and Video and dropping it off. And I was like, wow, I wish someone like told me that when I lost my job and was like losing my mind.
What were you doing before?
I was working in like real estate development and construction and sales, and I was doing a lot of stuff that was not art related at all. And then I think I forgot about photography because probably around 12 or 13 when like sports started getting more serious, like I stopped asking for cameras because I would just be at practice and games and sports, and it just like kind of fell by the wayside, like as one child does. But yeah, I was like, man, I wish I'd realized that because like I would have helped like figure out my life a little bit sooner.
Maybe you were just not meant to get there at that point.
Oh, so yeah, that I believe in. Everything happens for a reason when it's supposed to. Absolutely. Talk to me about like your personal journey in photography and how, your youth impacted your adult and your art, and like how, 10-year-old shooting on a weird APS-C purple camera turned into the wonderful artist that you are today.
So the first thing was like realizing how much photography had been a part of my life without even me knowing it. I was really lucky to have an uncle, so my father's brother, who has a Leica camera. He's got an M7 as well, as a matter of fact. And he introduced me to photography. It was pure serendipity. My mother had to go to work. She needed someone to look after me. I was like 7. She called him because we live nearby. He looked after me that afternoon, but he said I was about to do some printing. you have to stay with me in the darkroom. And this is my first introduction to seeing an image appear in a bath. And I literally said, that's what I'll do when I'm a grown-up. And funny enough, after studying photography, my first ever job was to be a black and white printer in a darkroom in Paris. So I held up myself to that, actually.
That's so awesome. So did you, like, man, I don't even fucking remember when I was 7, but, like, was there, like, a light bulb moment, like, when you were, like, in that room? Like,
it's to any single person who's into photography and did never go through a darkroom experience, that just ignite magic in me. Like, and it still does. Like, every single time I would print things, it's the moment where the image appears. Like, we know chemically how it works, but it still has this, I feel like it's like falling in love again.
It's like magic.
It really does that to me, yeah.
Oh, wow, I love that. That's really beautiful. So you do all your own printing?
So I don't at the moment. I've moved a bit since I've been in the US. I'm yet to still do my black and white film development, so...
Any of it?
Yes. So,
any of it?
Yes. So
how many rolls?
50, and they all sit in what I call the bag of films. I should have brought it today, which is an see-through airport bag with 50 rolls in there. So this is fun. That's how I live. So I'm going to get on that very shortly. But yeah.
How long do you think it'll take you to develop all of it? A few days?
No, it's going to take a month.
A month?
Oh, more than that. I will get round to them when I get round to them. I should film. I'm not in a hurry. That's not the point.
What is the point?
I think the point is, like, you know, you were talking about development. It's a journey. Like, I knew when I moved to the States that it was going to be a different phase in my photography. I didn't know how or why, but I knew it. And I went a week before leaving London to that amazing museum, which is called the Photographer's Gallery in London. And they have a sick shop. And I bought a selection of films. I think I bought 12 of them. And I was like, these are the first rolls I'm going to shoot when I'm in the States. And
do you remember what they were?
I have a picture on my phone of what they are. And there was a lot of color in there. And what was really interesting is at the time I was a hardcore 100% black and white shooter. Like, the amount of color films I'd shot besides as a kid, you could count them on, like, my two hands.
Wow.
And what's interesting, because again, we're talking about journey, is how much color I shoot now. It's like a 50-50 type situation.
Is that because of convenience or, like, because of artistic inspiration?
I think my vision has changed. I think so. When I arrived in the States, I was originally in LA, which was not really my kind of place, but the light is magical over there. And I kind of thought, first of all, I understood, this is where the cinema is, and that's why, because the light it's so subtle, like how it turns into pink and gold hues as it's like going to dusk. And I was like, okay, I don't think black and white does justice to that. So let's do that. And I actually had to force myself. I would like literally force myself to shoot 3 rolls of black and white and 1 roll of color. And at the start, it was like torture. I was like, I don't think this is really interesting. So I also had to train my eye to see different things in a different way.
Oh, that's so interesting. I sometimes, like, try not to pay attention to what film I load into the camera and shoot it so that, like, my eye and my vision is not impacted by what's in the camera. And I think it's partly fun because, like, when I shoot a lot of digital in the studio, obviously, and it's like, well, the photo could be anything, right? Because it's fucking digital. So it's like, this could be black and white, this could be color, it could be, you know, reverse negative, whatever, right? Like, I could do whatever I want to it. But, like, when I shoot film, like, I just kind of, like, load up my bag and then, like, I'll just grab a roll and shoot. And I think it's interesting to hear you say that you, like, base your subject matter on what's in there. I have not thought of it that way before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is also funny because I'm looking at the back of my camera, because if you would ask me, I never know. When people are like, what's in your camera? I'm like, I don't know. I actually don't know. That's 125 ISO. I'd say maybe that's that double X modified black and white film, but I
from
really
Cinestill?
know from someone who posed it.
Oh,
and it's
that's cool.
Actually, it says Eastman something. So don't know. So I never really remember what's in my camera, which is also how I
like
choose to shoot. Yeah,
I like that. But okay, so I'm curious, like, as like your art and your inspiration has like altered over time, like from LA to New York, and like shooting more color now. What do you look for when you're out and about, and like what like attracts you to pulling your camera up to your eye and taking a photograph?
So I always have my camera with me. Like it's out around me as soon as I'm out of the subway, basically, when I get from work or every time. So people used to say to me, what do you photograph? And I was like, I'm a street photographer because I grew up in cities. So streets were like all around me. And I actually don't think it's true. I think I'm a documentary photographer. So I think even on the streets, historically, I've always looked for stories. I think storytelling is the oldest tool we have in the book before even we had real languages. Like, so I think that always fascinated me. And when I moved to the States, I was like, this is going to be a cultural shock. And I think I started documenting what was odd to me because culturally we're different people.
Yes.
So flags on the front lawn, suburbia in Jersey at its finest, like all these things where I was like, that makes no sense to me, but that's actually real life here.
Yeah.
And in New York, it was all the incessant rhythm, hustle and bustle, people all around. And like, I love New York for that because there's always someone carrying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, people moving sofas in the subway is actually a real thing. And I'm like, who on earth would do that? It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
But so I think I look for stories because it catches my eye. But the other thing as well is a lot of my work is, I'm going to say 90% is night photography. I am heavily insomniac.
Same.
So, hey, we should go
Sucks.
shooting, John.
Yeah. I'm just never going to get out of bed, though. I'm just going to rot in my insomniac bed.
So I think it went in phases for me as well. And I think the start is as I was gradually sleeping less and less.
Oh.
You first have all this time and you're not especially tired when it starts, always. So I was like, okay, let's do something creative. And then New York is the city that doesn't sleep, allegedly. So I just was going out and I could... It's when I go out at night, I chase the light in the dark. All these small lights that also get me to think, where are the people? There should be people all around. It's New York and they're not. So that always gets me very curious.
So I find, like, from an artistic perspective, like, when I'm creating a specific, whatever, street photography, portraiture, whatever I'm doing, like, my mood seriously impacts, like, what it is that I'm shooting or, like, what I receive back when the film comes back, right? Like, so if I'm depressed, it's like single people in space, like individuals, or like, you know, big open empty spaces. And then like if I'm happy, it's like full of vibrancy and color and spaces like that. Do you have like a similar, like, can you look to your work in the past and like, you know, equate it to how you were feeling emotionally in that state?
100%. And I think it's like I'm a sponge, there's no barrier. It's how I feel impacts how I see and what I take pictures of and vice versa.
Oh, I like that. Can you develop on that a little bit more?
So when I look at the night photography, I think it's, you know, ultimately there's a bit of a lone wolf syndrome in photography or in most photographers. So especially when you go shooting at times where other people are asleep, you're most likely to be alone. And it's always making me think about things that also do make me sad, like why can't I just sleep like everyone else?
Same.
Why is my brain always on? Because ultimately that's also why I can't really sleep. So I feel like if you look at these pictures, and it's really funny because when I showed them to my best friend, she actually said, your pictures are like you, they're sad and beautiful.
Oh.
And I think this body of work, if I was to name it the body of work, is like me in this instance. It's sad and beautiful, but I also have another body of work about Coney Island, and this is also, it's very different. It's full of people, it's color, it's daylight, it's bright, it's loud, but that's also like me. It's wild and cheerful. So I think like depending on how I feel and where I am, because if I feel incredibly sad, I'm not going to go to Coney Island. You know, there's this form of attraction. So I feel like, yes, these are different parts of me, and I live through my pictures. You know, it's really hard in any discipline to separate the artist from the work. I'm very much my photography, and my photography is very much me. So
I really love that because I don't think I've been able to relate to that mantra much until recently. Like I feel like I'm finally entering my like embodiment of this type of things that I want to create. And like granted, you've been shooting a lot longer than and most people have. So it's like getting that comfortability in like myself to develop the pictures that I want has taken, call it 4 years or however long I've been doing this. And it's just now entering that era. Have you felt that way for a while? Like how long into your journey do you think it took you to be able to, have that mantra?
I think it's definitely been a life journey for me because photography has always been in my life. So as a teenager, I then chose that I was going to do photography for a living. So I like looked on my own at what was going to give me the best chance to do that. And I have a technical degree in photography, which is
crazy.
The equivalent, if I remember, in America is an associate's degree.
Okay.
So I applied on my own, and I was 17, and I went to bring my paperwork to school. And truth is, no one in my family wanted me to do that. I was told it was no career, it was no job, I was going to fail, I always had to be different, I always had to be this and that. So I went and I did it. And I remember, and this is not a fun memory, but I remember my mother telling me at the time, if you go to school to bring that paperwork, you're not going home. And she kicked me out when I came back. And I stayed at my grandparents for like, I'm going to say a week or 10 days until she stopped being mad and would just open the door. So that's the kind of roadblocks I was met with.
I'm curious. So obviously, you love photography. How does like a very traumatic experience like that not negatively impact your relationship with it?
I mean, I think it did. I built myself in spite of everyone else.
Ooh.
I think this is true of me as a person and as a woman. And it's really funny because, that's the thing I've thought about a lot. It's how I struggle to reconcile between me as a woman and me as a photographer, because this is a white male-dominated industry. And no offense, no one likes smart women. So it's very hard to be one in there. It's very hard to be, I'm not a photographer as a paid occupation. I work in the industry. I fix cameras. This is a very technical work. And I still get met with this expectation that because I'm a woman, I obviously cannot be as gifted as a male counterpart. So that's also another thing that's really hard to reconcile. But I'm going to say why I always say is that no one gets to tell me what I can or can't be.
Oh, I love that. How long did it take for you to figure that out?
I think it was underlying until I'm going to say I voiced it when I turned 30 and I stopped being sorry for who I am. If you want to spend time with me, that's fine. If you don't want to, I don't care. That's on you.
Same. Oh, I fucking love that. That's a pretty badass 13-year-old.
Yeah, 30.
Oh, 30. 30.
Sorry, it's the accent.
I was like, holy shit, what a little badass.
No, but that's also like, I was 17 and I chose to still go and bring my paperwork.
I think like so like something I say on this podcast all the time is like, could 25-year-old John have like learned 35-year-old John's lessons? Like it took me like in a very long journey to find the things that I love in this world, right? Like my art, my podcast, like photography, like the things that like bring me inspiration and excitement took a while to find. So I don't think 25-year-old John could have learned 35-year lessons. It takes those times. So like, but that's not to say that someone else couldn't have learned that from 15 to 25. So I think the manner in which you're meant to develop your passions in life happen when they're supposed to.
Correct.
But I think ultimately that like the greatest leaps that I've made in my life happen as I've advanced at age, at 30, at 35, soon to be 40. Like these are monumental shifts in like who I am as a person. And, I think I'm very lucky that I've even gotten here this early. Like, I think there are people who don't learn that stuff till they're in their 50s.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or they never do.
Or they never do, which is, a sad reality of the matrix that we live in. I'm curious. So, like, obviously, darkroom printing, developing your own film, these are all, like, very individualistic aspects of the art that you choose to do. You recently had a gallery show at Peak Design in New York City. Talk to me a little bit about the process of developing the overall look and feel, the number of prints, the whole sort of process of going through putting that show together.
So the show was about Coney Island, and it's really funny because it's a place that draws me in all the time. So I think it's when I need to get my fix of people, I just go there. And I had to think a lot about, again, the process, the pictures, this and that. So I kept taking pictures and I was sending them to one of my friends from the UK. And he was like, first of all, this is sick. What are you doing with that? This is wild. And I was like, yes, I like it. And he was the first one to say to me, you have a body of work. What are you going to do with it? And I was like, oh, okay. So at the time, I started working on a zine, which will still eventually come out at some point in the future. And the show happened by serendipity. I walked into Peak Design, started talking to them, and eventually, there was that very interesting comment about someone saying to me, you have a very interesting name in your photographer, yet you're not on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up.
So, and he was like, how can I see your pictures? And I was like, oh, I'll just show you stuff. So I always have pictures on my phone because I love sharing things about different stocks and this and that. So I show him stuff and I show him some night stuff. And then he mentions like New York City, what's your favorite place? And I'm like, Coney Island. And he's like, oh, well. And I show him pictures and he goes, great. So this is what's going to be exhibited here in the summer. And I was like, oh. So the origin of the show did not come from me. I never geared up to exhibit work. That wasn't in my mind, really. And I had so many pictures, and it was done like I sent them stuff. I was like, okay, we have that. That's kind of what I want to see. And I kept shooting until 3 weeks before the show and changed the picture selection.
Oh my God.
No fear. That's how we roll. So... And then eventually we chose on the size. I wanted small prints, so they were 11 by 14. And they said to me, take over the wall. So there were 21 pictures. That was their biggest exhibition so far. And funny enough, you're going to be like, oh my God. So I arrived there in the morning, we were hanging up, and I literally did the layout on the table just before putting them on the wall.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's how I roll.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like 3 rows and I didn't even have them. I just piled them up and I just knew it was going to work. I can't really explain why. I think I worked in photography so long. I've seen so much of it. I've done so much of it and my eye is trained.
Yeah.
And when it was on the wall, there were patterns like waves, which I thought was really interesting for something that's taken at the beach. And there's a lot of snakes because this is also what I said to people. You go to Coney Island and it's
so weird,
unexpected, but also expected. There's always these guys with the snakes. There's people shoving hot dogs in their mouth. There's kids yelling. There's people with water guns. So you know what you're going to get. You just don't know where and when.
Oh, yeah.
And the wall looked like the snakes were on like a snake pattern, and so were different stocks. So one of the other things is I shoot, and I've always called it that, Russian roulette with the film is how I shoot. So I shoot expired stuff. Most of the time, as I said, don't even know what's in the camera. It's not kept in the fridge. I buy it in the weirdest places. I buy expired film on eBay, Depop, charity shops. Sometimes people are like, maybe it's exposed. I'm like, sure, let's put it in the camera and see. So that was a very interesting, it's very fun because I think I'm a very focused and technical being by trade.
Yeah.
And the way I shoot is
the opposite.
Because I choose to surrender to creating something I don't have full control on. And that's a choice. There's purpose in that. Like, I could be highly technical, and I still am. Like, I shoot a lot. I'm short. Love the giggle.
I know, we can see.
Like, I'm short, but it gives me a different perspective. And I use that to my advantage. And I still shoot chest, hip. So I kind of know, but I don't know what I'm going to get. But when the pictures are there, I know they're there. Because again, there's purpose in everything I do.
I'm curious. So, like, let's say you pick up a expired roll of. I'm just going to use a symbol stock because most people are not film photographers. Portra 400.
Okay.
Let's say it's 25 years old.
Okay.
There is a more or less, formulaic exposure for that stock based on its age, based on its degradation over time, and it will tell you that you should, box speed this at X ISO, and that's how you have to like meter for it.
I don't.
You would just shoot it at box speed?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do.
I fucking love that.
So the other fun thing is that I have hundreds of rolls of unexposed films to use. Like I never run out of films. There's 5 rolls of films in my bag right now. And it's in a cardboard box that has traveled with me around the world. I'm not attached to the box, it's just a good size. So everything goes in there. And obviously I don't know how it's been kept, so why would I even bother? Like I dropped rolls of films, it's EC2N, to my lab last week and 2 weeks before. And I realized when I was literally giving the films to them that they expired in January 1998. And I was like, oh, that's old.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's been kept. I don't care. It gives for beautiful mistakes. If I wanted to control that, I'd shoot like everyone shoots
digital,
Cinestill.
I like Cinestill.
I do too, but again, like my favorite stock to this day is still Tri-X. And I know exactly what I can get out of it. But also, it's like everything else in life. I can live my life between the dots, or I can try to see what's outside of it.
Ooh, I love that. So it's so funny because like I shoot Cinestill a lot because I like how there's always those accidental halations and burns and weird things that you just don't get with like commercial Portra or like, big manufacturer stock. I'm like so intrigued by this. So like you'll get a roll, it'll be 30 years old almost. And what would you say like the hit rate is on the image to like being able to be like...
It's hard to tell. So the thing is, part of the shots at my exhibition were super red. I don't even know what film it was. But I won't discount a picture because it's grainy or has a particular hue on it, or it's the point. Like, I do like to see what the roles are. I do like to see the variety. I like to experiment. So I choose the pictures because I like them. And again, that means I choose the pictures for what creatively they look like, not for the technical aspect of them.
Okay, and subject matter, right?
Yeah,
and like
does.
what the story is on the image.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we first met at
ICP.
ICP. Was it ICP?
Yeah.
With Stefan's talk?
And
Gallery?
yes, and something else.
Yeah, I forget what it was. But we were talking, and you were showing me your phone, the blue shots, which I loved. And I was like, this is so awesome. Like, can I follow you on Instagram? And you were like, no, I don't have it. And I'm very curious by this because as a person who's been trying to be a successful professional photographer for the last 4 years, I have a hyperfixation at times on what my Instagram tells me is happening, what my views are, what my follower count is. And I've, for better or worse, had a very healthy and unhealthy relationship with it. How, as an artist and someone who aspires to, I would assume, make a sole living off of their art, how do you go about not having like a social media presence for sharing of your work?
So actually, I don't want to live as a paid photographer.
Oh, okay. Oh.
No, because I don't want to make work on command.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing. And I want to keep shooting documentary photography. And I don't think there's money enough in that to make a living out of it. So it's also a stance on that. But it's also a stance in the sense that I cater the information I give to the people I want to in the way I want to.
Ooh.
I'm very much aware as an individual that I'm a trailblazer in many ways and I go against the flow. Quite frankly, I don't need anyone followers to infatuate my ego. I like myself as a person. Thank you very much.
I love that.
Like, and like, you know, I always say to people, because people do ask me, oh, you're a photographer, how can we see your work? And I'm like, we can go and have a coffee and I can show you prints. And everyone is like, oh my God, this is bonkers. Like, I say that to people. I'm not on Instagram because there's that many pictures of dogs, food, and naked girls I can see in one day. And the answer is 0.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to be part of essentially what's another boys club. I am not interested. And I'm not interested in pretending to like people's pictures just because, again, then they like mine, then this and that. That's not high school. Be an adult. Leave me alone with your shitty work. I don't want to see it. I don't want to like it.
I love that. I'm curious. I fucking love that. That's so funny. I'm really curious. So, as a person who has no social media presence, do you still suffer from imposter syndrome as an artist, or you are completely devoid of that?
So I think I do, because I think every normal person who's not a sociopath actually does. you know, like, sure, when my exhibition went up, I was like, shit, is it even good?
Ooh, okay.
And is it good because... And in this case, I don't think that being on social media or not being on social media made a difference. Like, not being on it, I was the only one who'd seen the entire body of work.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like when you're on social media, the algorithm caters to you in a certain way that you go in a rabbit hole anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, is it even good? Are people going to like it? And are people going to like it? I was like, at the end of the day, actually, I don't care. Like, in the sense that, you know, the opening was full, and everyone loved it. And the answer was overwhelming to me. I was like, why do people like it so much? Like this, it baffled me. But I also was like, I kind of want people to like it because I invited my friends. So of course, you know, like you want your friends to like what you do. But also I was like, at the end of the day, if you don't, I am so fine with that. Because I took these pictures for myself.
Yeah.
Like, if you like them, I'm glad. If you don't, maybe they're just not speaking to you. And that's okay, because they will speak to someone. And if they get to see them, then that works for me.
I think there's a really valuable lesson there. You know, if the genesis of the work is for myself, then its impact outside of my own creation shouldn't affect me. It should be a net positive, whether people love it or hate it, so long as it's coming from a place of my desire to create.
Yeah, and I still take constructive criticism. I'm not saying I don't give a monkey what anyone thinks. Absolutely not. But I'm like, again, you know, a part of the journey was also discovering myself as a woman. And I think it's pretty obvious I'm pretty assertive as I am. But like, it's also like finding boundaries with people. And even when you create, like, I come to photography because also that's how I heal myself.
Oh.
If I wasn't doing that, I would die. This is a part of who I am. I don't know what I am if you take this part out of me and out of my life. I don't think I'll ever find that. I'll be a photographer until I die. So I don't take pictures for other people. And I think this is why I also don't want to be a paid photographer. I don't want... In general, I don't really like much when people tell me what to do. But also, I don't want someone to tell me what I should take pictures of. I want to remain free in that. And I think... You know, also it's a choice. Being on Instagram would probably bring me business in a certain way, and I choose not to be, and I choose to not have these opportunities. And I live by that, and I'm fine by that. So, you know, the way I operate as a photographer also goes in the way of what I shoot and what I want to shoot, and vice versa. So, but it's a choice. Again, there's intention in that.
There's a lot of intention in everything that you do. Have you always been so intentional?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I felt very early on that I didn't have the choice. Like, you know, fighting your own family because they're ultimately, you know, people who pay for your studies was a really hard thing to do. And I had to, again, I said it, like I had to prove and build myself in spite of everyone. And I did that. Like I got my first job as a printer before the end of my degree. It didn't matter to my boss if I got it or not. And then I got my second job where I was selling cameras when I was still employed within 10 days of my first interview, which happened like on a misunderstanding. I just called to inquire for a friend about what they were looking for. The manager who then became my manager was like, okay, so we'll see you on Tuesday for an interview. I was like, oh, I guess I have to go. And then within 10 days, I'd had the second interview. They hired me. And then eventually I became a camera technician. Like, it's...
serendipity.
It is, but it's also very hard work. And I think most people don't want to hear that these days, because I feel like social media also makes people want things instantly. And it's the image that's projected. I also don't like that. Like, you know, when I think about these young kids, because I also mentor in the photography industry, and I see these kids who, to me, are kids. They're not kids, they're like 25.
Yeah.
But hey, you know. And they say to me, oh yeah, but I want to do that, and I want to be an influencer and that. And I'm like, why? Do you want to be chained to your phone 24/7,
Yeah, no.
projecting a version of yourself that you're not? And I think I don't want that. That's technological slavery. I am not interested.
Oh, I fucking love that. I relate to that a lot.
Thank God I don't charge for the wisdom, John.
Thank God is right. I can't afford it. Dropping bombs. I relate to that tremendously because my own relationship with social media has like ebbed and flowed tremendously because like there is a part of my core, and I don't know how tied it is to imposter syndrome or how tied it is into ego. I mean, it's directly tied into ego, right? That like I'm trying to get to the point where I can shed my ego and my expectations of what my work means to other people. And I feel like that process is difficult because in being very all-encompassed by social media across multiple different platforms on a daily basis, my desire is for more people to see my work. And that desire comes with certain things like making content, which I don't want to do. And so often I've said, I don't want to make a video about me making pictures just so that I can get more followers, so that I could feel like I'm a real photographer,
See,
right?
that's the rabbit hole just there.
It's a rabbit hole. No, it really is. And I find myself jumping in and out of it often. So like very recently in the last like 30 or so days, I actually had a conversation with Stefan Vanasco about this. And I was like, I'm making reels about shooting with my camera because it's a desirable camera. So hopefully people will see it and then I'll get more followers. And I was like, wait, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah, why?
Is this for me? No, it is because it's for my ego, right? So I'm trying to feed this part of me that feels inadequate or less than. And the way to remedy those feelings is by the number attached to my name.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Do you think you want to feed your ego more because you're a man? Do we think?
1000%.
Yeah. So
Well, for
I
sure.
feel like I'm not saying this is a general truth, but I feel
It's
like
a
there's
general
also
truth.
no, because not everyone is made out of the same mold. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, it's also a thing. So following the exhibition, I had an artist talk, and again, everyone was like, "Oh my God, you're so interesting," and this and that. I was like, "What is wrong with people? You need to go out more, meet other people." Like
That's humble, though.
so, but maybe that's the imposter syndrome there, you
Yeah.
know, to go back to your question. But one of the things I said is that, when you start photography, and that's natural, we all do that, is you pick up a camera randomly. You never know that it's the first one is never the camera.
Right.
That's fine. And then you start by doing things that you like because this is normal. You want to reproduce what you enjoy. But I feel from my experience that women stir away from that way quicker than men. And I feel like there's a comparison effect in men in general.
Yes.
And I've seen it I've done a lot of workshops. I've helped in my career having people pick up cameras and lenses and this and that. And I hear, oh, that person does that. And I'm like, why don't you want to do you instead?
Yeah.
And I think, when we talk about that is in life, I do me. And this is why I'm not on Instagram. I don't need to do you. Do I want to? That doesn't mean I don't enjoy people's company and people's work. I do.
Yeah.
But I do like meaningful connections.
Totally agree.
So I don't need to feed my ego.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Listen,
thing.
I think this is like a big thing that I'm working on. Like I turned 40 at the end of the year. So it's like, for me, it's like self-actualization and growth is important, right? Like I feel like there was years in my 20s and early 30s where it's like I was doing things for other people and not myself. And now I'm living
Here we go.
very intentionally for myself. So it's like if I can understand what the like drive is for this following number or this views number or these things that I butt up against wanting to care about, if I can shed that, I
Yeah.
will grow and I will develop further as a human being.
But maybe you also, the other thing I'm going to say is if you can't shed them, there's a reason why you're still drawn to that. And I think once you understand that, and I think, again, it's easier for women to be more in tune with other things. I don't mean it in a bad way. I think
it's biological.
I think it also is, yeah. So I'm very much in tune with that. When I keep asking myself certain questions, when you do, you need to surrender to getting the answer.
I totally agree.
So I feel like if you're still stuck in that loop and you want to get out of it, but you can't, there's a reason why you're still in the loop. So maybe you need to pivot
Yeah.
and learn what's the lesson in me there, and whatever it is. Because you say, oh, I want to get there and there, but the path is never linear.
Never.
So it's like you'll get there when you get there.
You've seen that chart, right? Like you've seen that chart, like
Yeah, it's like a wave.
Yeah, right. Exactly, which is very appropriate for your show.
And for me in general.
Yeah. I'm curious. So, on the heels of the first show, which I'm sorry to say I didn't get a chance to visit, I did apologize in advance, so that wasn't going to be a doable thing. What is next in terms of what you look at for your career? Because like you mentioned a zine. I and others have expressed desires to purchase prints.
You will. I'm working on that.
In this calendar year?
Yes, you will.
Cool.
You will.
Okay. This is the next process.
So I think, like following the show, a few people, including yourself, have asked me about prints. So that's a thing I'm going to look at because the exhibition is now down. I didn't want to do that when it was still up. I've had a lot of people following the talk, when I say, oh, this is how I shoot, and people is like, this is wild. And I'm like, yes.
Totally wild.
Welcome to my life. So a lot of people have asked me if I wanted to do photo walks. I think my experience is when I go on, and I quote photo walks because it could be me going out with a friend who wants to shoot or me planning something with like 15 people. There's different shapes to it. I think people are this is one thing in photography. People want to know about the gear and people want to see you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am definitely open to organize whatever people want. I love shooting. And I love shooting on my own, but I like spending time with other photographers. So I think I'm going to do that. Just go out with a few people and then shoot whenever they want to shoot. So, there's that. The zine is definitely a thing that's going to happen. I just didn't have the money to make it happen at the same time than the exhibition. So, and the other thing is, and you're going to be like, of course, Ludivine, that's what you're doing. I was actually making it. So I was making a huge paper zine.
Oh.
Yeah. That it's a zine. I don't want to do like some digital nonsense.
Yeah.
So I was like crafting it, shall I say. And then I was going to photocopy it. Again, no nice printing. It's
down.
a zine, people. So that will happen. And the zine will be something that happens several times. I want this on a regular basis, but let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. So as a person who hasn't printed a ton of his own work, I think that your relationship with photography changes when you start printing your own work and seeing it in physical form, which is another reason why I would also like to start getting into darkroom printing and this.
I'll teach you.
Huh?
I'll teach you.
Please do. Yeah, sold.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
$3.99. We got this locked in. No, but because I think as I develop as an artist, the things that are more attractive to me from a creation perspective is film, instant film. Like I shoot a ton of Polaroid. I just spent an ungodly amount of money on expired FP100C peel part Polaroid, which I'm extremely excited to shoot. I've only shot one pack in my life. And I bought 10 packs, so I'm very excited to shoot it. And so all these my relationship with the stuff that I want to create is mostly tactile and on film, and I think that it should lead to a next step of, I would like to do a zine or a prints and stuff, and I haven't done any of that before. So I like to hear that you're going to do a similar journey, because then I have someone I can bother about when I talk about my own pain points.
Anytime, you know that. But it's also it might not help you, because I'm also going to do things, as always, in a very unconventional manner that only works for me.
But don't you think that those differentiations amongst photographers and artists is what helps you refine your own palette and likes? So when I find in here, listen, I could never reach into a box of 5-year-old film, not know what I'm grabbing, not know what I'm shooting, and be like, oh, it's 400.
What's the worst that happens?
Yeah, nothing would come out.
So your life will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
If anything does happen, you have more pictures you can use.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's all about perspective, and that's also what photography is all about.
Oh, I totally agree. Listen, I think it is a beautiful mindset. I just think there's different strokes for different folks.
Correct.
There is something. So again, this is mostly male ego. This is mostly driven by outside factors of wanting to be recognized to some degree. I would like to be very precise. There is precision to what I do. There's a reason why I shoot with the cameras I shoot with and make the stuff that I do. However, with the caveat that now I'm finding all of the accidental things, all of the different things is what I'm attracted to. So now I'm going to just follow that. And I think that's an important lesson for people. Follow things that inspire you.
I think so. There's a few things, if I may touch on that.
Please.
There's precision in what I do.
No, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that you talk about how you control based on your taste, the tool you choose, the film stock you would choose, the fact that it's not expired. I do too, but again, there's precision, there's method in the madness.
No, there's
and
a lot
really
of method.
is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you didn't see the exhibition. It's okay.
Sorry.
But even when I was saying to people, even when I try to free myself of the technique, and I think this is a journey that I do as a woman, I spend my time being put in a very small box, mainly by men. And I fight very hard to push the boundaries of the box. And as a photographer, that's also what I do. So I was saying to people, sure, okay, I shoot what sounds like it's super wild and not technical, but if you look at the pictures, like I was like, look, that's dead center. There's a circle in a circle in a circle. I was like, look, there's a triangle here. There's a triangle here. I think my eye is so trained that it's impossible for me to not be a technical being. I just, this is also what I was
You just
saying.
want to surrender to
Something else.
Yeah.
And this is what I was explaining as well. I was like, the way my brain works is that, sure, I am very technical. I would deem myself, and maybe that's ego, very smart. But like, it's in my eye, the rule of 2/3. I just don't have to consciously tell myself, oh, this is what I'm going to use. Like, when you have a nail, you use a hammer. You don't have to teach yourself you're not using a screwdriver.
Oh, yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
It's in you. So I just think of all of these as different tools in my toolkit.
Yeah.
And I just use them when I need to. And I just don't realize I'm using them, but they're there. Like, that's the truth of it.
But that's like you've had your 10,000 hours, right? You've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've walked that walk.
Yeah. That's inspiring, though, because, like, that's like, me fucking 5 years from now or something. I don't know. It's going to take a while, right? Like,
I don't think you'll ever be a small French woman, John. But hey.
Hey, a guy could hope, right?
Who knows?
Listen, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. No, but it's true because, like, listen, I think what the beauty in that is, like, that you have a very specified, regimented take to your art that is inspiring for someone who's, like, still just trying to figure it out. So, like, to see and be around someone who is, like, very articulate and knows exactly what they're doing, that's wonderful because I don't relate to that. I'm trying to
But I
have
think
that
that's the thing
relationship.
you're trying. That's probably where you can't find it.
Yeah.
Where I was doing that and I didn't realize until I had to explain my process to people. And I was like, oh, there's a pattern. Of course there is.
Yeah.
So I think it's, it's like everything in life. Things become elusive when you try too hard to get them.
Yeah.
So maybe, again, you have to surrender to something slightly different. And then it will come when it will come.
I think that a lot of the reason that I use I generally, I think maybe this is a general feeling that people have, reservations about releasing themselves to, like, create and stuff, is that because it's like, well, everything's been done before. So, like, why am I supposed
True.
to?
Correct. In photography, it's been done a million times.
50 million times. So it's like, for me, it's like trying to, like, I don't want to be derivative of someone else. I want to create myself. I want things. I think the best compliment I can give a photographer is, like, I would know one of your photographs by looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't have that experience with my own work.
So maybe someone else needs to look at your work as well.
Well, yeah, you know, understand what I'm saying, right? But I could look at your work amongst many other people's work, and I could point to your photo and say, "This is yours."
So I want to say yes, based on the feedback people gave me. Mm-hmm. So that was because I also say that everything's been done in photography, and what I found fascinating was people saying to me, "You have a very unique way of photographing," and I was like, "How so?" And they were like, "It's like seeing through your eyes."
I totally agree because there is you in the image,
but
which is like
and that's looping back to the start where I said I am my work and my work lives through me.
It's a beautiful place. Like, it must be such a wonderful experience to create with that mindset, because, like, I don't have that mindset yet. I don't know many people do.
So yes, it's wonderful, but it also comes from a place where it's very deep, which means it's very raw and you're very exposed. And it's a choice. Like, you see my pictures and you see a side of me.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of me in there. And being also not on social media is how I protect myself from some people and the world. But I will still I surrender to being vulnerable when I show my work because it's a choice. Like, there's intention in that too.
Do you have trouble? Would imagine no. You don't have trouble being vulnerable and sharing your work with people, right? You're just selective about who those people are.
Yeah, I think it's because it's also the other thing is like everyone. There's that very interesting thing as well. It's like again, it's perspective. Like everyone is like, you take pictures of people on the street and they're like, oh no pictures, and I'm like, were you not just snapping a selfie 30 seconds ago? Please, like.
Yeah.
So I think it's about everyone wants to be seen under their best light, and I think when I turned 30. I was fixing cameras and I was looking like a teenage girl all the time. I was super subdued as how I dressed because I've heard so many times things along the lines of, well, you're so pretty, you can't know what you're doing. Or I want to see the technician. And I'm like, you mean a man?
Yeah.
So, and then eventually something clicked in my head and there's one guy actually, and I hate to say that as a woman that it's down to a man, but there's that guy who flipped a switch in my mind and I was like, I am beautiful and I'm going to choose to be that as well. And I think it opened things for me as a woman. Therefore, a part of my photographic journey changed. But I also, when I turned 30, I was like, I'm going to, which was a couple of years ago, I also chose to stop being sorry for who I was. Mm-hmm. I think I spent a lot of time, being a teenage, being a teenage girl is very hard. And you're put in different modes all the time at different levels of society. Like the fact that I'm not married, I don't want children, this and that. Even my family is like, my grandma was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, what is wrong with you? Mm-hmm. I'm fulfilled on my own. Would I be happy with a partner? Yes, but like marrying is not something, I don't feel I have to be with someone to be complete.
Oof.
So, there's I understood that I could also control my image and not let people use my body against me, like I think I did for a very long time. And it opened up a lot of things in me. And now I can be smart and beautiful and still fix your camera. So, I'm like, but I think I stopped being sorry for who I was.
And
it's the same with showing my work. Because my work, again, comes from me. If you don't like it, it's okay. Yeah. I can live with that.
You just like so hammering on the head something that I talk about all the time is like stop apologizing for who you are and the things that you want to do. And I think so long in this short journey of mine, I was like apologetic for what I was trying to do because like I'm not a photographer. You're not allowed to do these things.
No one can tell you what you are or not.
Yeah, but owning that power in yourself of the things that you want to be and the things that you want to create and the things that you want to do is hard. Society is constantly telling you, go get in this little box and sit there for 8 hours a day and pick up the phone and type on the keyboard. It's almost the...
It's the path of least resistance.
For sure. And I think the beautiful thing that you said that needs to be really hammered on is that it's okay to own yourself and own your power and own your beauty and own your art and own the things that make you happy and inspire you. Doesn't matter if it's not the same as somebody else.
And it's right with anything else in life. We don't all like the same food. We don't all like to date the same people. We don't like the same movies. So if we agree with that on everything else, why can't it be the same in photography?
Oof, I fucking love that.
And it's like the other thing as well as an industry, it's like, I hate to say that, but I'm going to say it. We're only taking pictures, mate.
Yeah.
Like, do some of them change the world? Sure. Most of them, not so much. And it's also fine. No one goes to see the last Marvel movie expecting it to be an Oscar winner. Why do we have to expect every fucking picture to be a Pulitzer? We should not.
I do wonder why there is that pressure to consume art, and it has to be...
Okay, so my theory behind that is that's because we make art, first of all because we want to pretend we're not mammals at the end of the day, and also because we're afraid to die. Oof. I think we make art because we want to leave something behind ourselves when we're not there.
Yeah,
and
fuck.
We want to elevate ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. We are elevated animals, so I understand that, but we're still animals. Like,
so I'm gonna just stray from that slightly because there's an interesting tidbit of like people who become incredibly financially free, like they win the lottery, they whatever, windfall of cash, whatever. Most people who reach a certain threshold of financial stability in their lives, in their free time, they create art, whether it's cooking food, taking pictures, painting, whatever. And it is, I think, so opposite of that idea of mammalhood and like, monkeyness that we are to want to create. And I think it's really interesting that when given the unburdened freedom of doing whatever you want, most human beings tend to try to do something creative.
But I think it's also the thing is like, look at what people think is cool. Like, you can't go out and be like, I'm an accountant. No one is like, oh, this is so exciting.
No,
like,
it's a job. It's a means to an end.
But also I have a lot of respect for people who choose to do a job that pays their bills and don't give a fuck.
Yeah, oh, listen.
And can live at work, and I'm like, good on you. And truth is, we need accountants. We need...
doctors, lawyers, policemen, all these things.
And, like, I have respect for that. And it's also the thing, like, again, people have to feel like they're cool or this or that because it's the ego. People have to project themselves a certain way. I don't. I should more. I'm very unfiltered, which in a corporate environment, for example, is hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I should be more cautious in general about that. For example, it doesn't matter the corporation you work in or the society you are in. Like, there's different codes in every one of them, but sometimes I could be a bit more tamed.
Sure. I mean, in theory, like that's fine in practice, but like I have now built a life for myself outside of a corporate constraint because like I can't. I think like as I approached my 40th birthday, you said something very important, like to pass something along. It's why I shoot film. Like the idea that when I die, there's a physical reminder that I existed that wouldn't be there with the cloud and my digital photography. And then that really strongly ties into this concept of time and the fleeting nature of it and the sheer limited amount that we have, that I will never work for anybody ever again. Like I will not slave to somebody else's time clock so that I can earn a living. I'll live on a couch.
Wow, that is very inspirational.
Yeah, no, listen, I have done a lot of things for a lot of other people, and I've worked in a lot of big corporations and small corporations and medium corporations, and I would rather work for myself and earn a living based on my hard work in any number of different fields in whatever I'm doing and build a life centered around my time. No one tells me, John, show up here. I'm going to show up here because this is what I'm going to do when I'm doing it. Like this podcast. Like today, this is what I'm doing today. Like Monday, I'm shooting, I'll be here and I'm shooting. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week, I'm not doing fucking shit.
See, but that's boundaries. So I have very strong boundaries in other fields of my life, and you have yours when it comes to time and how you spend it.
And that's what makes us human.
So it's a part of the
individualistic.
journey.
It is a part of the journey. This has been a wonderful conversation and journey in and of itself. I am so immensely appreciative that you schlepped all the way to Jersey City for this podcast. I have a really cheesy line. If you've been on my podcast, you're part of my family. So welcome and thank you so much for coming today. This has been a real pleasure.
Thank you, John.
My pleasure.